for anybody who doesn't think that corporate money in politics doesn't have an impact on how decisions are made and what ultimately ends up happening, the only reason this story made it is because of the fact that they gave a lot of money and thought that their money was going to do the talking. And apparently the school is not just going to go along to get along. And now they want to make it a story. We gave money to answer. And that's what happens in politics. And that's what we're trying to change. And so the gentleman we're about to bring in, Jesse Philippe, who's going to obviously tell us more about himself, he is running with no corporate special interest money. And that is what we look to support. Policy is as important as anything. But first and foremost, how are you being funded? Are you funded by people? And if you are, then it's game on, and we will do anything and everything in our capacity to help. And of course, he is running to flip one of the very few, like I said, we have 27 congressional districts currently in the state of Florida, and this is one of about maybe 5 that are legitimately flippable. And so without further ado, we are welcoming into the studio, Jesse Philippe. Welcome to Generational Change.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm so excited to be here.
Hi, it's so nice to meet you.
It is. I've followed you and I've seen your last campaign, and it was amazing. And I'm just so humble to be here, and I thank you so much.
Absolutely. So talk a little. Well, all right, Peter, you had a plan. Did you have a plan?
Well, yes, Jesse, if you can retweet this on social media. We want to get this out to as many people as possible right now so that everybody can, obviously meet Jesse up close and see what he's all about.
Yeah.
And like I said, we're all about generational change, humanity forward, advancing the message of what we're trying to do, which obviously is dealing heavily with the corporate infrastructure that we have in politics. And certainly in the state of Florida, it is of no exception. The district that you are running in is the Florida's 15th congressional district. It is a +6R, which means that it is just outside the margin of error, but it does mean that it is a flippable district if all things come together. So tell us, we don't need to talk much about your opponent. Obviously, we can discuss him, but what's most important is that people obviously know more about you, what you're fighting for, and how people can obviously help you out that are in, who obviously share your values and certainly want to help a non-corporate candidate be as successful as possible.
Of course. Thanks, Peter. I appreciate that. Our campaign has really been focused on, since day one, on how we get the community back into Congress. That's the most important thing to us. And the community is, the person going to work from 8 to 5. Right now, our politics is very dirty, with a lot of dirty money coming from big corporations, influencing the decisions of our congressmen and influencing decisions that don't act in the self-interest of the people that they actually serve. And so one of the things that, inspired me to get into politics is a conversation I had. I used to work in corporate America, so I understand how it works. And I had a conversation with one of our customers, I believe, one time, and she stated that she couldn't afford our services because of her, because she only received so much amount of money in Social Security. And what happened was, in that conversation with her, she literally cried and told me, look, all I have is just a little amount of money that's given to me by the government, and I have no idea what to do, but I need your services. Long story short, we made it work. We got her the services that she needed, but that touched me ever since that conversation, because I look at all the spending that we do in the United States government. We spend, like I said, more money in the military, 10 times more than every other country, but yet we are sitting there having a debate in the Supreme Court, in our, congressional halls, about, do we have enough to provide Medicare for all for everyone? And we're literally spending almost $780 million in military spending. It's probably in the billions at this point. For me, it's always going to be about, how do we get this community going? District 15 is a unique district. We have a mix of farmers. We have a mix of city life, which is a Brandon, Tampa. You have Lakeland in our district, and we are the symbolism of what America is right now. A country that is trying to find its way, and help the middle class, because I feel like we haven't helped the middle class in a very long time. I mean, our middle class strategy has been obsolete in the last 50, 60 years. And it's been really focused on how do we get more, how the rich continue to keep their money and, accumulate their wealth, and how the big corporations continue to keep their money and accumulate their wealth. And it's been very little about how do we get people into that middle class, and how we get people to ascend above the middle class. And so that's our campaign. It's been focused on how we do that. We have policies on our website that literally dives deep into what we believe, what policies that we believe can actually help engage conversation and engage people back into the workforce, engage people back to the middle class. And, and that's kind of who I am. A little personal thing. I'm a United States Marine. I served 6 years. So when I speak of military service, I've been there. And so I'm not just talking just based on, just
right.
to talk.
What do you get a sense from, when you're out talking to people in your district? Like, what are you getting a sense right now? Because now we're about almost a year from us really campaigning. So, and that's been a year of harsh COVID reality for a lot of people economically. I mean, to us, and when you talk about, somebody for workers and standing up for middle class, we don't have a labor party. And so that's the primary problem. But what are you finding out there that is the key issues that people are talking about that matter to them?
The key issue is always going to be, in my district, everyone wants healthcare. It's important. Healthcare is a right. So we believe in Medicare for all. I believe most people are okay with that, that policy stance. Another big issue is affordable housing. That's always going to be an issue, especially with our communities. We've grown so fast in the I-4 corridor, and the housing market has gone insanely high. Apartments are $1,600, and we're just trying to fight for $15 minimum wage. So it's going to be affordable housing. It's going to be Medicare for all. It's going to be, the last big one that I noticed is infrastructure. That's a big deal for our district. We have potholes that needs to be filled. We have kids that during COVID wasn't able to get internet access because, they live in a rural community and there was no internet provided to them. So they were behind in school. So those are the things that we're going to need in our district. And those are the things that we're campaigning on.
Are you finding, well, I was just going to ask him about their local, like the party and stuff like that. What did you have, Peter? Like, what were you going to get in on?
Well, I do think, and you could do, I'll remember what I was going to ask. You go first.
Well, I was just wondering, like, how you're finding it in your district in terms of support and what the party is doing to you. Are they supportive of you since it's a flip district? You're not challenging a Democratic incumbent. I mean, what's the vibe like there in terms of support for you?
On this cycle, last cycle was a little bit harder because it was 3 people in the race, and this cycle it's kind of early because of redistricting. We've gotten some support from the party, but this support is kind of like string support because they're waiting to redistricting to kick in to determine if they're going to go all in or not.
Right.
And I understand that. But
they don't work against you.
No, well, I mean, I don't. No one's ever said not to run. I've never had that.
Okay, that's a good step. That's a good step.
But I mean, Jen, you've been a part of this. When you're trying to make some meaningful changes for the middle class, you find that a lot of people in power, like small increment changes and not big bold changes.
Yeah.
They just want to kind of go through the ebb and flow of things. And when you're talking about shaking things up, you get a lot of pushback because people don't want that, and that's what we actually need.
Yeah. Peter, where were you going?
Jesse, I think one of the reasons why, and I know a lot of people don't like hearing this, but one of the reasons that I do think DeSantis is going to be very formidable in the next few years is because of his military service.
Yeah.
Can you talk about how much of an impact that has when you speak to voters in a red-leaning district, even if it's not a fully, it's not a blood red district, let's be honest, but it leans red. And so, certainly, with Lakeland, I am curious.
What's the district? Somebody's asking, what is your district?
I put it up there at District 15.
They want to know what that encompasses.
Oh, okay.
It's literally sandwiched in between Tampa Bay and Orlando.
Are you Pasco? They're asking if it's Pasco?
No,
Lakeland is the primary city.
Okay.
And it's on the I-4 corridor. So it's an I-4 corridor district is probably the best way that I would describe it. And if I'm wrong, Jesse, please correct me.
No, that's right. I mean, the far north we go is Lake County.
Sure.
And we don't go up to, I think you said Manatee County, or we stop. The farthest north we go is Lake County. The farthest south we go is going to be Bartow, Florida.
Sure.
And farthest west that we go is to Temple Terrace, which is right next to Brandon.
Right at Tampa, yeah.
Right at Tampa. And the farthest east we go is going to be in Lakeland, Combie Road.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, there's definitely a lot to cover there. And I am curious, does that have an impact? I still think that it's somewhat of a lost appreciation in politics. People really do appreciate those who have served our country.
Yeah, it was important to me to continue to do service. I mean, for me, when I got out of the Marine Corps, that's the hardest thing. If you talk to a lot of military people, to do to continue to serve. Most people, go back to school. Most people become police officers and fire rescue, because you never lose that sense of calling to serve. For me, I decided to go a different route. I decided to go get my education, and I went to law school. And right out of law school, I decided to run. So
where'd you go?
I went to Western Michigan.
Oh, okay. Cool. That's a little
That's
chilly.
That's pretty close.
That's a little chilly.
No, we have a Florida campus, so I did it in the Sunshine State.
Oh, okay. Because I'm
very
looking at you, and I thought I saw something about you're from Plant City. Is that correct?
I am from Riverview, my geographical area.
Okay.
It's kind of weird in our area. It's like Brandon, Riverview is all kind of mushed together with Gibson.
I don't know why something came up where I sort of affiliated you with Plant City, which I think is funny because I used to say, I don't know who lives there. It's this little stop in between two cities. Like nobody lives in Plant City. It's like I used to make fun of that in my mind. Like it's Plant City, and then I thought you were from there.
No, Plant City is it's in my district. It's a very close community because it's a lot of farmers. Traditional farmers are there, but it's coming up. It's becoming more progressive. They're trying to do things in the city. It's normally deep red, but there's some things happening in Plant City. So just looking forward to it.
Have you noticed that a lot of people are resonating with this message and the thing that we really harp on is this idea that you need to be able to build a non-corporate, non-partisan movement around working people. And that is something that I think goes a very long way. And it is an advantage, especially in the district you're running in, because you are able to court independent voters. One of the obvious downsides that we do have in politics is that it is closed primaries and it is a lot more difficult to get that vote out. So I'm curious what that experience has been like, speaking with independents in particular.
I found that independents, for us, our campaign, they loved us. Actually, they loved us so much we wanted to get them to become a Democrat, but they're like, "No, we're not going to switch parties." And that's kind of the sucky thing about having a closed primary state is you have these people who are 100% on board with your agenda, but they can't vote for your agenda because they're not, a registered Democrat. In our district, we're hit with that, especially because our district split a third. So a third of our district is independents, but a third of it is Democrats. And a lot of the Democrats that in our district tend to be more conservative Democrats. They're not progressive per se. They're progressives. They're progressives on certain things, but for the most part, they have very conservative kind of values. And that's the conversation that we had last campaign with the Democrats in our district, and mean, we did well. Like I said, we got 14,000 votes, and we, I think we were able to. I think both our candidates that I was running against both raised $1 million apiece, and we was only raising. We were only able to raise, grassroots. I think we raised about $10,000, $15,000 grassroots, and we got 14,000 votes.
Right.
So that tells you that people care about their message. They care about what you say. It's not about always raising money. It's just about having a message that actually addresses the needs for the middle class.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that, we are going to continue to talk about as we go forward.
Let's get his info up.
Yeah, it's very much about building this collective coalition. Obviously, you're running in a part of the state that you're probably familiar with, Alan Ellison. We think very highly of him. He is running for the U.S. Senate. Cindy Benai, who's out there, who ran for Congress in the 19th district. There are some really good people who are trying to help, as a collective, build this coalition where we can be formidable without the corporate special interest money. And this is one of many steps that needs to be taken. But that's why we have this conversation now, so that momentum can be built going into, assuming there is a primary, and then ultimately the general election. So Jesse, what is your website so that people can find you, that they can get involved and obviously lend a hand with your campaign?
Yeah. So our website is jessephilippe.com. It's JESSEPHILIPPE.com. Obviously, it's on the screen there.
Yep.
And you just put .com after it, and that you can go there. You can donate. We also have a suggestion box where you can put suggestions of policy platforms, because we have a list of our platforms on the website, so you can actually see what we plan on doing when we get elected. And so we always, love to have people's opinions.
Thank you so much for coming on. It was so nice to meet you.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. And Jen, keep doing what you're doing. Your campaigns. Oh man, I was so impressed. And I'm gonna follow you guys. Generational change.
Great.
You can definitely be the change for this Florida and turn it blue.
Thank you.
We will definitely have you back, Jesse. Thank you so much, and we'll be in touch.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.